Hey guys, my name is Billy Sticker.
And my name is Matt Keenan, and this is the ChiroCandy podcast.
So last episode we was kind of a relaunch. We were talking about what's been going on in the business, and we really dove into what's been working when it comes to Facebook and Instagram and things like that. We even talked a lot about TikTok and what's not working and just things you can do. So if you haven't listened to that episode, I definitely want to encourage you to go back and dig in because there's a lot of very practical takeaways for you and your
Absolutely.
team. And then when we were talking about Matt, what do we want to talk about this week? Um, he's the one that came up with talking about what we call our Perfect Patient Tribe Turbine. Do you want to talk a little bit about it, and then I can kind of dive into I'll pull
Sure.
up a picture and
Yeah,
see.
absolutely. So the gist of it is the Perfect Patient Tribe Turbine is something that Billy came up with to really help visualize what sets us apart from other marketing companies and why it's so important. So in the gist of it is we use retargeting with video content, and that's not something that a lot of other companies do. A lot of other companies focus on cold outreach. So basically, just a cold audience means just new people who haven't engaged with your content, don't follow you, things like that. Just people in your area, or in our case, for chiropractic marketing, most of the time it's just radius marketing or zip code marketing. But that's not, you know, sustainable long term. We want to build something that's going to get better and better the longer we use it, right? So what that looks like is using video content. When someone posts it, then we put it in an audience, track the people who are engaging with it, meaning liking it, commenting. We track people that go to your website, things like that. And we are putting those people into an audience, and then we're retargeting them with ads. And so as we encourage our clients to put more content out there, and we're getting more and more people, different videos will attract different kinds of people, but they also won't stay in there forever. So we bring them in, and then those people, as they see the content more and more, they're going to begin to know, like, and trust them. And then those people are going to become much higher quality leads in the long run than somebody who just randomly saw your video one time.
Yeah, and really what had happened is I'll pull this up here in just a second, and we'll kind of. So for those of you who are listening, I definitely recommend um, going to YouTube or wherever to actually watch the video version of this because we really mapped it out to kind of show people, just gives you a good visualization of the process and how it works. But when I worked in office for a chiropractor, and for those of you who may be new, who maybe you've never really heard of me before or heard of ChiroCandy, back in 2007 and 2008, I worked in office for a chiropractor. We had multiple locations. I was the marketer. I would do all of the screenings out in the community. Really didn't have much social media back then. MySpace had kind of just came out, and I mean that was pretty popular, but we really weren't doing much marketing with it. Still a lot of yellow page ads, stuff like that. But I would go to all the different health fairs and community events. I started doing our workshops out in the community, our in-office talks. Then I started doing our day ones and our day twos and really fell in love with the profession. But we doubled the volume in both of our offices. And it really just made me, I mean, you can say I drank the Kool-Aid, fell in love with chiropractic. I saw the difference it was making in all of our patients. Um, and then, then eventually started the ChiroCandy podcast. And then that led into us doing marketing for all these different companies or, all these other chiropractic offices. And whenever you look at what makes a great patient, it's typically a referral. And Matt, I'm sure you probably even, have doctors say that, our
Right.
best patients are referrals. Well, when you think about a referral, what happens with a referral is this is somebody who you may not know, but you share a relationship, right? So it's one of your good patients is sending in a coworker or a neighbor or a cousin, whatever it may be. You don't know them, they don't know you, but y'all both really like this other person, so they come in, they're just a little more receptive. There's a
Because you
great
trust
chance.
them.
Yeah,
There's trust there already.
absolutely. Well, What if you can actually have referral quality patients or better come in all the time? And I really think that's what the Perfect Patient Tribe Turbine system does, is because with a referral, y'all really don't know each other yet. You just have this shared relationship. But whenever we have offices doing this correctly, what happens is whenever somebody schedules a new patient appointment and they've been consuming all your content, they already know you. You don't know them, but there's this know, like, and trust factor that's already been built.
Mm.
And back in, gosh, I don't know, it was probably 2015-ish, um, maybe 2016. My youngest son, Brendan, was having severe headaches. So this may have been a little bit before then, but he was having really bad headaches 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, we would get phone calls from his teacher, and she'd be, saying, "Hey, just letting you know, Brendan's got the trash can next to his desk again. He's feeling nauseous," and it was all from these headaches he was getting. Well, a few years before, I'd been diagnosed with a Chiari 1 malformation and ended up having to have surgery. And they ended up removing the tonsils of my cerebellum. And it was this big thing. My sister also had it. And, most of you guys know, especially chiropractors listening, that that's not necessarily hereditary, but it was odd that my sister had it. I had it. And so we just wanted to get him checked out. So the pediatrician sends him for a CT scan, comes back clean. That's fine. It's not, anything like a Chiari malformation or anything else going on. And he says, "Hey, it sounds like it's just migraines. So what I want you to do is to give him 400 milligrams of ibuprofen at the onset of any headache." Um, Excuse me, he's 8. 400 milligrams of
Wow.
ibuprofen, and he's 8. Like, this is your solution?
The
It's a
Band-Aid.
Band-Aid. Yeah. And so it's like, no, no, thank you. And I take full responsibility of this. We should have brought him to the chiropractor before all this. But he goes in, sees my chiropractor, and just during the exam, he could tell his atlas was shifted. And I remember Dr. Walker looking at me saying, "Hey, I don't, no guarantees here, but I really think this is going to be the problem." And after a handful of adjustments, it dramatically transformed Brendan's life. Like, his headaches didn't all the way go away, but they went from 4 or 5 times a week to 2 or 3 times a month. It was a huge difference. So we did a testimonial video for our chiropractor. Now, Brendan's about 8. He's not going to do this video on his own. So there is actually pictures, and Matt's probably even seen these before, where Brendan's kind of sitting on my lap and I'm looking in the camera just like this. And I'm just kind of sharing that story about his headaches and all this. Well, we ran that ad for about a month or so in our town. There were 2 different times, and this is a population of around 20,000 people. 2 different times, complete strangers stopped us out in the community. And one time we were in Walmart, and it was just Brendan and I. We were leaving, and somebody just looked at him and said, "Hey, buddy, how are those headaches?" And it really freaked him out at first. He was just like, "I don't know who you are," and he just looked up and said, "They're good." And then we walked out. And another time, we were in a Mexican restaurant in our town. We were sitting in a booth. The majority, I think it was the whole family was there, and some people were leaving. And as they walked by the booth, this guy stopped and leaned back. It's like he recognized Brendan, but
Double
it took him a
take.
second. Yeah, and he's like, "Wait." And then he looked at him and said the same thing. "Hey, buddy, how are those headaches?" And Brendan smiles and goes, "They're good." And then when the family walked off, Brendan, stuck his little 8-year-old chest out. And he's like, "Guys,
Yeah.
I think I'm famous." And I love that story because that was one video that we did for 1 month in our town. And we weren't doing retargeting or anything like that. It was just one video that we were, showing in our town. And Brendan became, a celebrity in our town, if you will. Well, what if you're doing video like that week in, week out, and now all of a sudden you're the one people are seeing at restaurants going, hey, that's that doctor that's always doing those videos. So that's, they're always talking about nutrition, or they're always talking about, ergonomics, or whatever it may be. That's what we can do now. And we can even do it more now because of all the tools that Meta gives us on retargeting and building different audiences. And I love to say that what happens with the tools we have available is we get to dig different ponds, and then we get to tell Facebook what fish to put in each pond. So a lot of times whenever we're building out campaigns, we're going to do a cold audience. These are going to be people who really don't even know who you are. And let's face it, even if you've been in practice 20 years, you still have new patients come in sometimes that say they didn't even know you existed. Like they've been
Mhm.
driving past your office for years. And I spoke at Parker Vegas a couple of months back. And I always ask this question, how many people have been in here a long time, have this happen? And there's always tons of people raise their hand, say that always happens. So don't think that just because you've been there for a long time, everybody in your town knows you. They just don't.
Right.
But we get to dig these ponds. And so the first one is typically a cold audience, people who really, we're not doing any kind of retargeting. And a lot of times we target females, 30 and older, because, I mean, even if you look at your patient, load every week, normally, if you're like most offices, probably 65 to 70% are women 30 and older, maybe 35 and older. And then the men that are coming in, at least half of them are coming in because the women in the relationship said, you need to go see a chiropractor. So we
Like,
know
no, I'm
women,
fine.
yeah, women make the majority of the decision healthcare decisions for the family. So a lot of times we will target, women and stuff like that. I'm not saying we don't target men, because we do. But let's say that may be the cold audience, and we may do a certain radius around your office. We may do certain particular zip codes that are going to be, your more ideal patient. But that's a cold audience. And then we'll do a retargeting audience or a video views audience. And this is where we're telling Facebook what fish to put in here. And we want them to be people that have been engaging with your content.
Right.
They've been watching a certain percentage of your videos, and then we show them another video and another video. And I'll show this on our Perfect Patient Tribe Turbine, how it's laid out here in a second. But also like to say it like this: if you think of your favorite patient, like whenever you see that they're coming in that day, you just get excited. If you think about, and right now you're probably already thinking about a couple of people, they always have several things in common. One, they get it, right? They understand, they're educated. They know why they're coming in, what they're doing, or what you're doing. They understand it all. They never miss appointments. They refer people. They're great at their at-home care, anything that you recommend. They do all that. They're educated. Well, a lot of times that education doesn't start until your day one and your day two. Well, with this process, you get to start that education before they ever come in. Think about that. What if you got to start educating your community a couple of weeks before they came in, or even a couple of months before they come in? So now, when a new patient from this pond comes in to see you, a lot of times they're better than a referral. Even though you still don't know them, they feel like they know you. They've been
Right.
consuming your content. They know what you do, how you do it, why you do it. The know, like, and trust factor has already been built in, and it's just a much, much higher quality patient. And that's why this works so well. And it is frustrating. And I know Matt deals with this a lot. Talking to clients and like, hey, it's just not working. 90% of the time, it's not working because they're not following this process. Would you agree?
I would certainly agree. Like, well, it's not working. We're not getting any ads. And I'm like, well, you haven't made any videos yet. And that's our bread and butter. That's how I say it to all of our clients. The bread and butter of ChiroCandy is video content and using that to our advantage to create warm audiences. Because we're not about just fancy looking cold ads. We're about the quality over quantity. And every client that I talk to, they always agree with me. They're like, absolutely, I'd much rather have higher quality leads than to have a lot of low quality leads. But it works and it takes time to get there.
Yeah. And it goes back to so much in life where we know what we need to be doing, but we don't always do it, right?
Hmm.
Like Jim
Everybody.
Rohn says, I don't know if you've heard that, what if an apple a day really did keep the doctor away? Some people still wouldn't eat an apple a day,
Yeah.
Uh, so let me pull this up real quick. We kind of, not kind of, we actually mapped this out to show you exactly. So you can see the screen, Matt, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this is what we call the Perfect Patient Tribe Turbine. And whenever somebody, now this is stuff you can do on your own. We would obviously love to work with any of you. And we're working with a lot of you already. But even if not, like this is some stuff that you can do on your own as long as you know how to build out the correct audiences on the back end. But when somebody first comes to work with us, there's this onboarding process. We get access to all of their assets that we need. They get access to some training and stuff that we put together. And the training is for your team and for you. Now,
Right.
we know that you're busy. Like oh, I'm not going to think that you're sitting around just waiting to consume more and more training videos. We know you're not. So the way we put these trainings together is they're short. They're 3 to 5 minutes a piece, but it's almost like the book of Proverbs in the sense. I'm not at all saying it's
This is the
it's
Bible.
this is holy, yeah. Not like that, but it's like you could read a couple of Proverbs and there's so much meat there. It's like this is all I need. That's how we did these. They're short to the point videos that shouldn't take you long to go through. And you go through that. So there's some for your team on, we want them to have the right mindset. So for example, it is different than referrals. If somebody's calling in and they went to Google and found you, those are higher quality patients than somebody from Facebook. We will admit that. And that's, we do Google ads too. And we've gotten a lot, really gotten great at Google ads. But that's a different patient than somebody from Facebook. Facebook's a lot like doing screenings. Um, but we want your team to have the right mindset. Not
Right.
everybody that fills out a form is going to come in, but they didn't fill out the form on accident. They didn't accidentally type in their name and their phone number and their email address, right? There was some intent there. And so it's just a matter of striking while that motivation is
Hmm.
high. You want to follow up with them as soon as possible. And we also want your team to know that even if it's just, which 30% is really, really pretty common. We have some offices that get 60 to 70%. We even have a case study of one of our offices that's been with us for about 6 or 7 years now, and they consistently get 60 to 70% of their leads walking through the door. But that's a totally another training that we can talk about.
Right.
But we want your team to have the right mindset. Even if it was just 3 out of 10 that came in, well, that's fine. Just still follow up to the best of their ability and let's go find those three. And then what can we do to make that three, 4 or 5, right? And continue following
Hmm.
up with them, stuff like that. So we have training for your team and then training for you on recording videos. And this has changed over the years. Where used to, which we covered this in the last episode, we wanted everybody doing, landscape type videos, 2 to 3 minutes a piece. Well, now we want them doing vertical videos, 30 seconds a piece, right? So we have changed that up some. But if you look on here, we have onboarding. And then we typically also do an initial offer. This is where most agencies, this is the main thing they do.
That's
Now,
where they park their car.
yeah, yeah, their cars parked, their flags planted, like this is it. This is what we're really good at. And so they do this initial offer. And you know what? We've seen this initial offer work. Like it can start generating leads. Here's the problem. And this is key. Somebody saying yes to this initial offer at first, they're saying yes to the offer. They're not saying yes to the office or saying yes to the doctor. They're saying
Hmm.
yes to the offer. We want people saying yes to you, to the doctor, to the office, not just the offer.
Right.
So we still do this initial offer because we do want leads to start coming in. Like we want to start that. But we know that's not going to be our highest quality yet. So you guys go through the
That's our pit
training.
stop, really. Like the initial offer is where we use all of our, because a lot of our clients will ask us, they'll say, I want you to use the best ad text that you have. I want you to use what's working best across the board for everyone. We have an initial starting point that we use across the board because we have to start at this one spot with this ad text and these images that have been, proven to work, but it's always going to change from there. So we start there, but that's kind of like a pit stop. We don't park our car there. We have to move on, but we have to use placeholders. We call like our stock content and images and things that we use at the beginning placeholders for a reason, because we want our clients to know this isn't what we're going to be running for long term, but we want to, that's when we are encouraging them, don't forget to check out the training portal. And if not, if the clients that are busier, one-man show, then we'll just send them Loom videos during our weekly updates that just encourage them, hey, this week, if you can't get to the training portal, focus on making this 15-second video that says this, and this, and we just kind of break it down and make it easier for them. But that's the main thing. We use that as a placeholder, not the main thing is just that ad.
Yes. So we have the initial, right, our initial pit stop.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like Matt was saying, we send you examples, tons of stuff to work with so you can start getting content out. And ideally, we want you to do one video a week would be ideal. You don't have to have a fancy camera. You don't have to have, like, we've got some people that are like, oh, yeah, I've got a recording studio set up in my office. Ideally, we don't want you doing a video in the same spot every week.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens is we want to stop the scroll. And when people are scrolling on their phones, which is 95% of your leads are going to come from mobile devices, if not more. But when people are scrolling on their phones and they see, even if they're interested in what you've been talking about, if you're standing in the same spot every single time, even if you're wearing a different shirt, subconsciously they think, oh, I've already seen this one. I've
It's the
already
same
seen this.
video, right?
Yeah, same video. So you want to change it up. You want to use props. You want to use people, different things like that. You want to be in front of a nerve chart or all this different stuff.
Or be in your
But
car or go outside, whatever. You're on vacation, record a video.
yeah, a local restaurant, record a video, right? Right. We talk about all that in the training. But doing these videos, people start to know, like, and trust you. Some of these videos, we will have people schedule calls straight from these videos. Some of them we do run as ads, and some of them we put money behind, but we're just promoting building this tribe, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are the people that have been engaging with your content. This is the pond that we're really trying to fill. The people that know, like, and trust you, know why you do it, what you do, how you do it. They understand all of it. So then when we show them a retargeting offer, this is a much, much higher quality person coming into the office now because we've been laying all this work. And there's such a difference between a Google client, a new patient, and a Facebook patient, right? Somebody from Google, for example, they are they're looking you up. They're looking for your services, right? They
Right.
went online, they typed in chiropractor near me or neuropathy, because this works for chiropractic, neuropathy, knee pain, decompression, weight loss. Like, we can do all kinds of different campaigns. And we do this, with Google as well. But if somebody's going to Google, I mean, there's a need right now they're trying to fill, right? There's an itch they're trying to scratch. And so they look you up. Well, on Facebook, they may not be ready right now. Same thing with a screening. Just because they're at the bridal expo doesn't mean they're looking for a chiropractor, but enough people, they get to know you. Some of them will start coming in. So what we want to do is really just work on building this audience where they just see you all the time. And it's a much, much higher quality person coming in. And Matt can attest to this because he literally sees hundreds and hundreds of campaigns every single month that we're running across the country, even in other countries. We've got clients in London, Canada, all over.
Australia.
Yeah. Yeah. So, anything
But
else that you want to talk about this?
yeah, I wanted to add as well. It's not just about um, us telling our clients to post a video, because if you post enough, people are going to see it enough, and then you're eventually going to get more followers. There's a little bit more method to that. Whenever a client posts a video, we put it into what we call a video views campaign. And that's basically just a campaign that is set up to generate more views on that video. Because right now, if you post a video, the only people that are going to see it are the people that follow you, or that follow someone who might have shared the video, or if Facebook decides that that should be in your algorithm for the day, which, the chances of that are like pretty slim to none, especially if you're just starting out and you don't have that many people following you. So what we do is we take the videos once they're posted, put them in our video views campaign that sends them out to people in the community. So now not just the people that follow you are going to be seeing it. It's going to be everyone who's within this radius or these zip codes that we said, hey, this community needs to see these videos. And that's how we get people to be in our audience, because we say, hey, now not only are we going to be pushing this video, but anybody who sees these videos, we want you to grab them. We want Facebook to remember them and then put them in this pond. But I also wanted to add too, it's not a forever thing. And that is what ties into the consistency factor when it comes to video content, because once those people are in that pond, they're not necessarily going to stay in that pond forever, because there's a timeout for people who view your lead form, people who watch your video, people who view your website. It's like 90 days for lead forms, and like maybe I think 365 days for videos. Don't quote me on that. And then 180 days for people who view your
Website.
website. So they all time out at some point. So you have to keep maintaining those videos so that they can stay in your pond and you can keep nurturing them. But you don't have to, but don't think of it as a chore, like, oh, I have to come up with something else to say. You have plenty of things to say. You are a wealth of knowledge as an expert in your field, as healthcare provider. You're going to have things to say that people need to hear, and there's always going to be something else. But for some people, they're like, I can't put everything in one video for, it keeps turning out to be 3 to 6 minutes long, and that's okay. You can just break it up into 6 parts, because people are going to watch it still. And especially if you have like a thumbnail at the beginning, or we can add a thumbnail that says, part 2 of this, people are more likely to not just watch that video, but to go back and see the first part or see the next part if it's intriguing and it's relevant to them. And then that's how buzz is generated. It's never going to be a bad thing to produce video content if it's, quality. And, if it's talking about what you do in your office, what sets you apart, what your mission is, it's never going to be a bad thing. Because then if you only make one video for a cold offer, and then somebody clicks on it and they're interested and they want to learn more about you, they go to your profile and then they go to your videos, they see that that's like the only video you have on there. That's going to say a lot about you. But if they click on your page, go to your videos, and see that you have a ton of knowledge and a ton of resources and you really know what you're talking about, that immediately brings up your score for people who are going to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah, it builds authority. Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
Authority. That's the good
And
summary.
I do think that there are times where you can just do some, I don't even know if you want to say funny videos, but just more videos showing your personality.
Personality videos. Right.
Yeah, personality videos. So it's not necessarily educational videos. It's just like, oh, you're not gonna believe what happened, today. And then you show something, in the office, and
Yeah. Don't
um
be afraid to do a funny trend. People love seeing businesses and offices do trends.
yeah, we even have some offices that'll do, you'll see stuff now where the video starts off and it looks like you're just watching somebody getting ready to fall off a roof. And then as they fall, next thing you know, the chiropractor rolls on the ground and then jumps
Yeah,
up and
yeah.
says, hey, and stuff like that. And then we've even had um, uh, one of our doctors, God, they've been with us for a long time. Actually, they were with us for a couple of years, left, and then they came back, and they're crushing it right now. Premier Chiropractic, which I'm sure there's a bunch of Premier Chiropractics across the country,
I'm sure.
but there's a video of one of the doctors, and she is adjusting. She's got a little boy next to her, and she's adjusting Buzz Lightyear, right? And she adjusts Buzz Lightyear, and then the little boy's like, power on, and then they switch. And then he gets up there and gets adjusted. And it's just a great video. We've had
Yeah.
people, adjust Santa Claus. I mean, those are things that you've already seen.
Spider-Man, like Spider-Man comes
Spider-Man.
in to save the day. He's like, how can Spider-Man save the day if he's got a backache? And he like walks in hobbling, and then he comes out like webs swinging. It's funny. They get really creative, and those usually do really well. People love it because it's different and they're not expecting it.
One of the things I love about working with so many offices across the country is you guys are, there's a lot of people smarter than us. And I'm totally okay with that. And so we get to see really creative things. And then we get to share that with all of our clients. Hey, here's an idea. Do you think you can do something like this? And not everybody does, but some people will. Like, oh, you know what? You think that's good? I'll top it, and they'll do something different. Um, but all of these are things that really pull back the curtain. Because let's say I've never been to a chiropractor before. I come across a video, I come across an ad, whatever, and I'm like, okay, I know some friends that have been a chiropractor before. I probably should go. I don't know. There's still something keeping me back. A lot of times it's because I don't really know what to expect. And doing these videos like this, they're educational, the personality videos, the behind the scenes videos, it lets people see behind the curtain,
Right,
and it really helps lower that barrier of entry where they feel comfortable. When they come in, they actually know what it's going to look like. They
right.
recognize faces. It just works so incredibly well. So anyway, I think that's probably a good place to wrap up. Do you have anything in closing that you want to say?
No, I think that pretty much covers everything.
Yeah, it's good. We even have, I will put a link in the show notes. We're going to have to add this to it, but we have um, a PDF download that is 107 video ideas. And
Hmm.
uh, let me see. Let me see if I can find the exact link to it. I should have been prepared with this. Uh, We will put a link in the show notes and even have it on the video where it just shows right here, which you can go and download 107 video ideas, uh, offer for chiropractors to help you. Just not that you have to do these, but it just gets the creative juices,
Prompts. Yeah.
you know, just some prompts to get you thinking. Another thing that you can do is, what are the um, top questions, top 5 questions new patients ask? You can do it. There's 5 different videos right there. Then you can do, what are the top 5 questions I wish a new patient would ask?
There you go. 10
There's
videos.
10 videos right there. I mean, that's going to get you through 2.5 months, just that right there.
Yeah,
Throw
you
in some
can say
personality
a lot.
videos.
A lot of people do videos about, like, let's bust a few myths. Let's debunk these ideas that people have about chiropractors. And there's endless videos for that. But you set the tone for the content that you want your patients, like you're nurturing your own potential patients. So what do you want them to know before they come in?
Yeah, yeah, it's so good. Yeah, what do you want them to know? I remember seeing somebody do a video one time, and it was one of the myth type videos. Um, is chiropractic safe? And the approach he did was fantastic. He said, okay, medical professionals have malpractice insurance. Most medical doctors, they're going to pay between, $2,000 and $4,000 a month for malpractice insurance. For chiropractors, we pay about $1,200 a year. That right there should
Says a
tell
lot.
you that chiropractic is safe if we're only having to pay $1,200 a year for malpractice insurance. Because the chances of, I thought that was such a great spin
Plus,
on.
it would be very much reflected in their reviews on Google.
Yes, this
Yeah.
this is true also. But I actually have the link to the 107 video ideas. You can go to go.chirocandy.com/guide, GUIDE. So it's go.chirocandy.com/guide. and you can download the 107 video ideas for your office. Or if you know what, if you've just been listening, I've heard enough. I want to work with you guys. Or maybe you've worked with us in the past. We are always changing and learning new creatives and new strategies and things that are working now that didn't work in the past. We're always getting better and improving and staying up with things. So reach out. Just go to chirocandy.com. You can schedule a call with our team, and we'd love to just talk to you. We can even do an audit on what you're doing now and give you some pointers. But we'd love to see how we can help you impact your community. So that's it. Thank you so much. We will see you on the next episode of the ChiroCandy podcast.